అసలు డిపార్ట్మెంట్ యాక్టివిటీస్. ఓకే, సో వాళ్ళకి యాక్చువల్గా ఇప్పుడు ఓవరాల్గా ఇప్పుడు మీ పంచాయత్ రాజ్ కలెక్టరే ఉన్నాడు. సో పంచాయత్ రాజ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ గురించి వాళ్ళ సర్పంచులు ఉన్నారు. అసలు సర్పంచులకి పంచాయత్ రాజ్ గురించి ఎంత ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెలుసు, వాళ్ళ విధుల గురించి వాళ్ళకు తెలుసా, వాళ్ళ హక్కుల గురించి తెలుసా, వాళ్ళ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏమంటాం ఇది ఫైనాన్షియల్ సంబంధించిన వాళ్ళ రైట్స్ తెలుసా, ఎక్కడెక్కడి నుంచి వస్తాయి. సో ఇవన్నీ అంటే ఏంటి, ఫస్ట్ ఏమిటి యాక్చువల్గా అసలు వాళ్ళు మన గురించి ఏమనుకుంటున్నారు, వాళ్ళు ఎక్కడున్నారు, దాంట్లో ఎంతమంది లిటరేట్స్, ఎంతమంది ఇల్లిటరేట్స్, ఎంతమంది లేడీస్ ఉన్నారు, జెంట్స్ ఉన్నారు. దీన్ని బట్టి ఏమిటి మనము వాళ్ళని ఎడ్యుకేట్ చేయడమా, వాళ్ళకు ఏ లిటరేచర్ అందించాలి అనేది ఉంటుందన్నమాట. సో ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్ ఈజ్ రీసెర్చ్ టు ఫైండ్ అవుట్ హూ ఈజ్ అవర్ పబ్లిక్, వాళ్ళు ఎక్కడున్నారు, వాళ్ళకు ఆర్గనైజేషన్ గురించి ఎంత తెలుసు. ఇప్పుడు ఓవరాల్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఉందనుకో, సో గవర్నమెంట్కు అంతా పబ్లిక్సే. సో కొత్త స్కీమ్ పెట్టినప్పుడు యాక్చువల్గా అసలు వాళ్ళకి స్కీమ్ ఉన్నదని తెలుసా లేదా. ఒక యూనివర్సిటీ ఉంది, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ ఉంది. సో ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీకి పబ్లిక్స్ ఎవరు, కాబోయే స్టూడెంట్స్ అవుతారు, స్టూడెంట్స్ కూడా అవుతారు. సో వాళ్ళకి అసలు యూనివర్సిటీలో కోర్సులు ఉన్నాయని తెలుసా లేదా, ఆ కోర్సులో ఎలిజిబిలిటీ తెలుసా లేదా, స్టడీ సెంటర్ల గురించి ఎంత తెలుసు. సో ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్లో మనము వీ హ్యావ్ టు ఫైండ్ అవుట్ నాలెడ్జ్ లెవెల్స్ ఆఫ్ అవర్ పబ్లిక్. దీన్ని ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్ అంటాం. సెకండ్ స్టెప్ ఏమిటి, ప్లానింగ్. సో మనం రీసెర్చ్ చేసిన తర్వాత మనకు ఏం తెలుస్తుంది, చాలా మందికి తెలియదు యూనివర్సిటీ గురించి. సో దానికి ఏం చేయాలి, మనకు ఆల్రెడీ స్టూడెంట్స్ గురించి తెలిసింది, వాళ్ళు ఎక్కడ ఉన్నారు, వాళ్ళు ఏ మీడియా యూజ్ చేస్తారు, ఎంతమందికి ఫోన్లు ఉన్నాయి, ఎంతమందికి ఇంటర్నెట్ ఉంది, ఎంతమంది పేపర్ చదువుతారు. ఇది సెకండ్ స్టేజ్ ప్లానింగ్. థర్డ్ స్టెప్ ఈజ్ కమ్యూనికేషన్. అంటే థర్డ్ స్టెప్లో ప్లానింగ్లో అనుకున్న ప్రకారం మనకు ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్లో తెలిసింది, వాళ్ళకి ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెలుసా, యూనివర్సిటీ గురించి తెలుసా లేదా, పిఆర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ గురించి ఎంత ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెలుసు, ఈ విషయాన్ని ఎట్లా చెప్పాలి, ఏ మీడియా ద్వారా చెప్పాలి, ఎప్పుడు చెప్పాలి అనేది సెకండ్ స్టెప్. థర్డ్ స్టెప్ ఈజ్ ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్. అంటే పేపర్లో అడ్వర్టైజ్మెంట్స్ ఇవ్వడము, పేపర్లో ప్రెస్ రిలీజ్లు ఇవ్వడము, న్యూస్ పేపర్లో ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ కండక్ట్ చేయడము, లేకపోతే రన్స్ అంటాం తెలుసు కదా, రన్స్ 5K రన్, 2K రన్ అని, ఇట్లా రకరకాల పద్ధతుల ద్వారా పబ్లిసిటీ చేయడం అన్నమాట. అంటే హలో మెసేజ్ వాళ్ళకి చేరడం థర్డ్ స్టెప్. లాస్ట్ స్టెప్ ఏంటంటే ఎవాల్యుయేషన్. సో మనము కొంత గ్యాప్ ఉన్నది, వాళ్ళకి ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెలియదు, యూనివర్సిటీ గురించి ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెలియదు అని తెలుసుకున్నాము, దానికి ఏం చెప్పాలనో ప్లాన్ చేశాము, దాన్ని ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసిన తర్వాత లాస్ట్ స్టెప్ ఏంటి, ఎవాల్యుయేషన్. మనము చేసిన కృషికి ఎంత ఫలితం ఉంది. మళ్ళీ ఏం చేస్తాము, మళ్ళీ రీసెర్చ్ చేస్తాము, మళ్ళీ వెళ్ళి స్టూడెంట్స్ అడుగుతాం, మీకు ఎంతమందికి ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ గురించి తెలుసు, కోర్సుల గురించి తెలుసు. ఓకే, సో దీన్ని 4 స్టెప్స్ అంటాం అన్నమాట. అర్థమైందా? ఓకే, సో ఈ ప్రాసెస్ మీ పంచాయత్ రాజ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్లో ఎట్లా చేస్తారు, అర్థమైందా? ఓకే, హలో
సార్.
సో దీన్ని మనము సరే ఎనీవే మనం తర్వాత ఇండివిజువల్గా ఏదో డిస్కస్ చేద్దాము. సో ఓకే, సో స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా మరి. సో మీరు యూ కెన్ ఆల్సో చార్ట్, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ డిస్టర్బెన్స్ అనుకుంటే దిర్ ఇస్ ఎ చార్ట్ ఫెసిలిటీ కదా. రఘు అండ్ అజిత్, హలో అజిత్, హలో, 5 వచ్చారు. ఓకే, 4.
కొంతమంది ఆఫీసులో పనిచేస్తుంటారు సార్, వాళ్ళు రిప్లై చేయలేకపోతారు. They may be listen, but they are unable to reply. That problem ఉంటుంది. వర్కింగ్ డే కదా,
ఓన్లీ
వర్కింగ్ డే కాబట్టి ప్రాబ్లం ఉంటుంది సార్. వాళ్ళు రిప్లై చేయలేకపోయినా కొన్ని
No,
సంస్థలలో రిప్లై
only
చేయడానికి ఇబ్బందికరంగా
there are
ఉంటుంది.
only 3 persons.
ఎస్ సార్ అంతే 3-4
Anjaya, Raghu and
మాక్సిమం
Ajit.
సండే అయితే 5-6 కంటే ఎక్కువ రాదు సార్ సండే కూడా.
So anyway, so what about others? Have you gone through the guidelines?
Yes sir, they gone through the guidelines and they follow as per the instructions those are communicated by you sir.
Okay. So Anjaya, they are not responding. I don't know whether they are listening to me or not.
They are on live sir, but they are unable to speak sir. కొన్ని ఆఫీసులలో వాళ్ళకి ఏంటంటే ఫోన్ అలో ఉండదు, ఏదో
Okay, right. Anyway,
ఉంటుంది. సో వాళ్ళ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ కూడా మనం చూసుకోవాలి. అందుకనే ఆ వర్కింగ్ డేలో అంటే కొంచెం ఇలాంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉంటాయి సార్.
Okay. Anyway, but they can, I think they can chat, no?
Yeah, sure.
So I think you have understood in communication first course. So I need to have some feedback whether they are listening or not, right? You know what is feedback? Feedback. Yes or no?
Yes, sir, but they are listening, I think.
Okay. Ajit and Raghu. Are you listening? So the good thing is you have an idea about your topic. Okay.
Sir.
So the next step is how to go about it. That is what we call research design. So I think you must have an idea about research design because in first semester, you have studied communication research quantitative, right? So in that course, you have learned that there is a research problem. You have to define your research problem. Then you have to decide about your tools of data collection. That means how do you collect your data? Okay. Then you interpret it. Then you come to a conclusion, right? So I don't know, Ajit and Raghu, they are not responding. Okay, anyway. So, Anjay, shall we discuss about your topic or shall we discuss about project report?
Generally, give the instructions, sir. Generalize. Regarding the project.
Okay, right. So, what is a project report? Project report is also called thesis, dissertation, or study paper. In some universities, it is called, for example, Telugu University, we used to call it study paper. In Usmania University also, they used to call it study paper, right? So in this university, we are calling it as project report. Okay. So what is a project report? It's a systematic and well-structured study of an issue or problem intended to find a solution with the application of research skills. So the key word here is systematic. It's a systematic study. I think in first semester, you have studied what is research. It is systematic collection of data to find out a solution to a problem or to understand a social phenomena, right? So as a media students, you are concerned about media. For example, you may be curious to know who is reading business page. So several people think that very few people read business page. Some other people think that very few people read sports page or like that. This is what we call readership study. It is intellectual curiosity. Okay. So research problem may be academic or applied research. What we call applied research means day-to-day. So finding solutions to day-to-day problems is called applied research. It is application oriented. The other research is basic research. So basic research is not meant for solutions for immediate problems. Okay. So you may be interested, for example, do you know what is uses and gratifications approach, Anjaya? Have you heard uses and gratifications theory?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Agenda setting theory or gatekeeping theory? Okay. So what is uses and gratifications theory? Uses and gratifications theory is intended to find out why readers read a newspaper, why audience consume media, why audience consume social media. So users means they expect some satisfaction from media. Gratification is satisfaction. Okay. So for example, a farmer wants to know new ways of doing farming, new techniques. So for that, he may use YouTube or he may watch another program.
TV programs.
Polam Panlu programs. So this is what is called, right? This is what is called uses and gratifications theory. So audience expect some kind of satisfaction. They expect something from media. With that expectation, they consume the media. They use the media. They read a newspaper. They watch a TV. And gratification is satisfaction. So what they are expecting, what they are getting. This is what is called uses and gratifications theory. So for example, as a media student, you may be interested in know why people are using YouTube. Okay, what kind of satisfaction they are getting. Okay, we use media to satisfy several of our needs. They are for companionship. For example, if you are alone, you may you may use it for companionship. You may use it to forget about your social problems, day-to-day problems. So you are not in a good mood. So you may go to a cinema. Okay. So, or for example, you may read a newspaper business page to find out what is your worth. For example, you may have some gold, you may have shares. So you will try to find out what is the worth of my shares. Or I think you may be knowing, even you are an employee, but still you may read employment advertisements. Why? Can you tell me why? Because it gives you an idea about your worth, whether your skills are required in the market or not. Okay. Even emotional release. You may read newspapers for emotional release. For example, you may read obituary advertisements. Are you following? You know what is obituary advertisements, Sanjaya? Hello?
Yes, sir. Following.
తెలుసుగా obituary advertisements ఎవరైనా చనిపోయిన advertisements కూడా చదువుతారు. ఎందుకు ఎమోషనల్ అరే పాపం చిన్న పిల్లవాడు 14 years died. Okay? So this is to release our emotional needs, to fulfill our emotional needs. So this is what is called uses and gratifications theory. Okay. So a project report or a research. Actually, project report is nothing but a dissertation, thesis, or study paper. So you are curious to know why people are using YouTube, why they are using smartphones, why they are reading newspaper. So because you know use and gratification theory, so based on that theory, you will do a research to find out why farmers are using YouTube, why housewives are seeing YouTube, what kind of satisfaction they are getting, what information they are trying to find out. Okay, so it is a systematic study of something. So by systematic, we mean there is a research procedure. There is a particular procedure accepted by research community. So it is a well-structured study, systematic study. That means you have to first define your target participants, what we call. We will define what is the meaning of every word. For example, I think you may have come across a term called operational definition. Have you heard it? Anjaya? Hello?
Sir.
Operational definition. Do you know what is operational definition? No. So operational definitions are definitions used in particular research.
Okay.
So we specifically mention what is included or what is not included. I will give you an example. For example, in research, we say Hyderabad resident, Hyderabad resident. Okay. So who is Hyderabad resident? Hyderabad resident, you know, if you read in news, in a research report, I have interviewed 1,000 Hyderabad residents or people living in Hyderabad. What comes to your mind? Tell me what do you think Hyderabad resident means? Hyderabad resident may be person living in GHMC permits within the limits of GHMC, or revenue. For revenue department purpose, Hyderabad is different. For postal department, Hyderabad is different. Okay. So for that, we will clearly define, saying that for this purpose, I have defined Hyderabad resident as a person living in revenue limits of Hyderabad district. Or somebody may say a person living in Hyderabad as defined by postal department. Okay. So this is what we call operational definition. For example, newspaper reader. మనం ఎవరినైనా నువ్వు పేపర్ చదువుతావా అంటే ప్రతి ఒక్కరు చదువుతామంటారు. But one person may read newspaper once in a 6 months. Another person may read daily. One person may read once in a year. Okay. So for this kind of problem, to get away from this kind of ambiguity, we define reader for our any particular. We may say a person who reads newspaper at least 3 times a week, or every day, or in his own house. Okay. So this is what is called operational definitions. For example, inka meeku clarity రావడానికి, for example, మనం రీసెర్చ్ ఏదో స్టూడెంట్స్ గురించి ఒక రీసెర్చ్ అనుకుంటాం. So when it comes to gathering your data, you may find a problem. Who is student? LKG student, primary school student, high school student, inter student, degree student, distance student. Okay. So to avoid this kind of ambiguity, what we call operational definitions. I think as an engineer, you know well, right? Specific ga. Ante kada. For example, మీరు ఒక రోడ్ వేయాలంటే కంకర ఏ కంకర ఏమయ్యా అవునా
స్పెసిఫైడ్ సైజ్ సార్
రైట్ ఏ సైజ్ కంకర అట్లాగే
it is an internal road or the major on the depend on the traffic, the size may be changed, sir.
Right. In research also, depending upon our research problem, depending upon our research question, depending upon our purpose, we will define every word used in research in operational terms. Media. Media means which media? Print media, TV media,
electronic media,
social media,
new media.
Okay. So journalist, who is a journalist? You know who is a contributor or stringer? Idea?
Yes, sir. Who collect the messages?
No, you know the difference between a regular full-time journalist and a stringer.
Stringer, yes, sir.
Yes. So, for example, somebody says you may you may carry out a research saying that a journalist. So, for me, question arises whether this journalist a full-time journalist, part-time journalist, or newspaper journalist, TV journalist, or YouTube journalist. Okay, media owner. Who is Ramoji Rao is also media owner. YouTube journalist also, he say, I have a YouTube. Okay. So to avoid this kind of ambiguity in research, what we call operational definitions, right? So concepts are different. Operational definitions are different. Okay. Concept is dictionary meaning. So if you see dictionary, it says journalist who works for a media, who writes for a media. That is meaning of dictionary journalist. But in research, journalist has several connotations, right? So a project report is a systematic means. So we have to decide who is our participant, whom you are studying, from where you are getting your information. Okay. So it is a systematic, well-structured study of an issue or problem intended to find a solution with the application of research skills. So I think in first semester, you must have studied communication research. So several concepts like how to, where to get information, what is population, what is sample, various kinds of sampling techniques. Okay. And different research methods, survey method, experimental method. So these different kinds of methods will be used depending upon our problem, depending upon our time, availability of time. Okay. So I think, do you have any idea how to choose a research topic, or what are the factors which influence selection of research topic? Hello? Anjaya?
No, sir.
గుర్తుందా? మనము ఒక రీసెర్చ్ టాపిక్ ను తీసుకోవాలంటే ఏ అంశాలను పరిగణనలోకి తీసుకోవాలి? What are the factors which determine the research topic? Any idea? Hello? Okay. So there are several determinants. Whether it is whether
time effective, sir.
huh?
Time
Time
effective, sir.
okay. Right. That is right. One is time factor. Financial. Right. Financial. Okay.
Effective. Sources
What is called resources? Financial resources. Time resource. Whether we can get information, data. For example, you may be interested in finding out media habits of MLAs. Okay, so you may not get information that much easy. So, as you know, right? So all these are all what is called research skills. So this is what is called a project report. Okay. So Viva OC, Telsuga, you know what is Viva OC? Viva OC is, it is non-verbal examination. Okay. So your exam, all other exams are written exams, and this is oral, face-to-face examination of about your research project. Okay. So you may be asked about your project, why you did it, how you did it, what problems you have faced, what solutions you have found. Okay. So you may be asked to explain about other issues relating to this MA program, your experiences, all these things, right? So I think you must have, shall we repeat learning objectives, Anjaya?
No, sir.
Okay, right. So what we study research in, okay. So do you know what is Lasswell model? Hello? Lasswell's model. Anybody? Hello? What is Lasswell's model? Unda gurtunda? Innava? Hello? Anjaya?
Sir, listen, but forgotten, sir.
Okay, no problem. It is who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. Okay. So who is communicator, says what message, in which channel is a medium, to whom receiver, with what effect is effect or impact. So our research project is, or communication research is about these 5 elements. These are also called elements of communication: source, message, channel, receiver. These are all called elements of communication. Okay. So our research is related to, you can take a topic about communicator. So who is communicator? A reporter, a message sender. Okay. Message. You can do a study on messages. So what are the messages? Newspapers carry news, advertisements. So which paper is publishing what kind of news? Whether they are publishing anti-government news or pro-government news. Whether they are quoting government sources or opposite sources. So which kind of news are given more prominence? Development news, political news, crime news, sports news. When it comes to elections, so you may be interested to know which paper gave more coverage to which party. Same television, which news, even advertisements also. So these are all messages. For example, how issues are covered. Gyanvapi, which paper is giving which version, whether they are giving all sides same importance or not. Okay. So this is all called what is called message related studies, content studies. So third is about channel or medium. So this is about even economics of newspaper circulation, why circulations are going up, why circulations are going down, whether there is a relationship between ownership and news content. ఓనరు పట్టి వార్తలు మారుతున్నాయా? సో మీడియం గురించి ఎట్లా మారుతున్నాయి? ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఫర్ ద లాస్ట్ 15-20 years, how media ownership is changing in India. Who is the owner? Is politicians are becoming owners, real estate people are becoming owners. How the income, what is the source of major income? What is the source of major advertisements? Whether there is a relationship between advertisement and news. If you see, for example, there is very little negative news about private intermediate colleges. Several students commit suicide in Narayana and Chaitanya colleges, but you will find very little amount of space, new space about these colleges. Why? Because they are giving hundreds of crores of rupees advertisements to newspapers. Then it is, you may also conduct research about receiver. Receiver means reader, TV viewer, internet viewer or consumer. So who are they? Who is reading what? How much time they are spending? What they are reading? Whether they are reading news or features. Where are they staying? What is their social background, economic background, occupational background? What are their changing media habits? Okay. So what are their changing media habits? What is their psychological thinking? So newspapers or media has to change according to the changing media habits, information needs of readers. Otherwise, newspapers can't survive. Okay. So these are all what we call receiver related research. Then what is called impact studies. So what is the impact of TV programs? Advertisement, impact of advertisements, impact of serials. So government is spending hundreds of crores of rupees on school-based education programs, UGC programs. So whether anybody is watching, whether they are able to understand them. So if they are not understanding what is the problem, these are all called impact studies. So it is a very important area. Okay. So there is interrelationship also. We will find out what is the relationship between each and every element. So when it comes to communicator, there are several studies. For journalists, background studies. We will call what we call profiles. Who is a journalist? What is their background? What are their education qualifications? Why did they join journalism? Okay. So this is the areas in theoretical terms we can do research about communicator, about message, about medium, about receiver, about effect. Okay. So there is very when it comes to areas of research. Are you following? Hello? Hello? Okay. So there is no feedback. So anyway, so what are the, what you have to know is what are the areas of research, your topics, what kind of research you have to do. So first you have to be clear that your research must be related to media only. It must be linked to media. It may be electronic media, it may be print media, it may be social media, it may be digital media, or it may related to the courses you have studied in this program. Public relations, advertising, traditional media, or communication theory, interpersonal communication, group communication, mass communication, cinema, visual communication, global communication. So these are the areas where you are supposed to do your project report. So when it comes to electronic media, you can do research or your project report on program ideas. Okay. So which program they have liked, what is their interest, right? Okay, there is, if you read guidelines, okay, right. Anyway, thank you. So as I said, you know, receiver So, for example, advertisements are people watching. What is the impact of advertisements? Okay. So what do we do? How do you find out impact of advertising? So we prepare a questionnaire. We give it to people who must have watched those advertisements. Why I am saying must have watched? For example, you may be interested in doing a study on impact of cosmetics advertisements or women related advertisements. Okay. So you will take only women or children or cartoon advertisements like that, for example. Okay. So advertising message on TV, cable, radio. So these are all called impact studies. So music research, obtain research opinion about music. So radio stations, FM radio stations, whether they are listening or not, what kind of music they are interested. Okay. So performers, for example, this radio jockeys, which radio jockey is popular, why they are popular, what is the rating they may get. Okay. So these are our electronic focus group. So advertisers are interested in finding out what age group of people are watching which program, which TV channel. Okay. So there are youth related programs, there are women related programs, there are subject related programs. So overall, if you do a viewership study of a particular TV channel or channels, you know which channel is watched by whom, watched by which income group. I think you may be knowing advertisers are interested in people who have more income, who are younger. Okay. For example, a program is watched by several hundreds of thousands of people, but they have no income to spend. You may know, for example, Udyoga Sopanam, Udyoga Vijayalu. So have you found any advertisements there? Very little, very less. Okay. So what the advertiser is interested is, they want consumers who have more income, who are willing to spend. Willing to spend means younger generation, youth. For example, retired persons may have money, but they don't spend money, right? So advertisers are interested. The research you can do is who is watching which program. What is there? What we call psychographic studies. What is their psychological thinking, right? So format studies, music, or for example, reality shows. Which reality shows are they are interested? What kind of reality shows? What kind of language they want? Okay, interactive programs. Okay. So sales research, this is what area of TV related, electronic media related research topics you can do. Then next we will go to print media. So just now I have mentioned print media. We can have source, journalists, message. So most important is readership studies. So who is reading which paper? Do you know IRS? Hello? In advertisements, you must have come across a word called IRS. Hello? What is IRS? You know readership study? Indian readership studies. So newspapers get their advertisements based on readership. How many people are reading a particular newspaper? That is very, very important for a newspaper to get advertisements. So every 6 months in India, readership studies are conducted to find out which newspaper has how much readers, what is their age group, where are they living, whether they are living in metropolitan cities, Hyderabad, Delhi, rural areas, districts, what is their income levels. Okay, so these are all called readership studies. This just now mentioned, this is industry research. This is, so there is also academic research. Okay, so readership studies, as I told you just now, uses and gratifications. Why they read newspapers? What kind of satisfaction they are getting? Okay, so just you think and tell me why school-going kids or everybody reads cricket news. Just can you tell me what difference it makes you? I don't know anything about cricket, but some you know. Okay, tell me what is the advantage? What is the benefit? What is the psychological benefit you feel when you read a cricket news, or if you are up to date with relation to cricket news? Anjaya? Anjaya? Hello? Hello? Yes. So, what is the psychological? Hello? Benefit you get by reading cricket news. Chapandi. So what is the psychological? Why do you read cricket news? Hello? Anybody? Are you following? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So you tell me why, what kind of benefit, you psychological benefit, or why do you read cricket news? So there is a theory called uses and gratifications theory in communication theory, first year. So it says audience expect some satisfaction from media. They consume it and they get some satisfaction, some benefit. That is what is gratification means. Satisfaction. They use media by expecting something, they get some satisfaction. Okay. So readership studies, it is not just who is reading. So as a media student, you may be interested to know why they are reading, what kind of benefits they are getting. Okay. So tell me why emotion, it is not just emotional. You want to be considered as knowledgeable in your circles. For example, if your friend circle, there are 4 or 5 people are there, everybody is discussing about cricket, IPL, you don't know anything about it. How do you feel? Hello? So you don't want to be left out. So this is even why school going kids are interested in sports. So in their groups, peer group, they don't want to be left out of that discussion. Same case with cinema. Okay. So this is what we call, for example, psychologically, you are staying in Hyderabad. Okay. If you get a chance, you read the tabloid of your district. Let us say Kottagudem or Khammam district news. So what do you get? What satisfaction do you get from this? Hello? Got my point? You are from Khammam. You are staying in Hyderabad. But internet edition, every day you read Khammam tabloid of a Eenadu or Andhra Jyoti. What do you get? You feel in touch with your native place, isn't it? Right? Hello? Okay. So readership studies may be to find out several things. Same agenda setting. You know what is agenda setting? Anybody? Hello? Agenda setting theory. Hello? What is agenda setting theory? Hello? What is agenda setting theory? Agenda setting theory is media, yes, influencing, but how newspapers, TV, or other media, they give more importance to certain issues, certain public issues, certain problems, certain events. So by giving more importance, people think think about it. They will think about more, they think more about that issue. For example, I think there is a atrocity case in Hyderabad yesterday. So if newspapers, TV continuously write about it, talk about it, people think that it is very important issue. If no newspaper writes about it, if no TV talks about it, they may not think about it. Okay. So this is what is called agenda setting theory. That means there is a correlation between media coverage and importance given by the audience. This is what is called agenda setting theory. Okay. So in readership also, we can test whether media is able to set agenda. Agenda means, items to be discussed. So media, by giving more coverage to certain issues, sets agenda for the public, for the readers to think about that particular issue. Okay. So why people are no longer worried about, why they are not hesitating about these rising prices? Because media is no longer writing repeatedly about it. Okay. So readership studies, and there are several. For example, newspapers may be interested in knowing. For example, they are printing some news. They have to know whether readers are reading it or not. Okay. For example, a newspaper is giving 2-3 pages coverage to, let us say, cinema news. But only 10% readers are reading. So that means they are wasting their space. Okay. So there are also readership studies, right? And there are also readability study. You know what is readability study? You know what is readability? Where did you get this word? In which subject? Tell me. Readability. Where do you find it? Hello? Readability word, where do you find it? In which paper, course? Readability. Any idea? Right. Editing, writing, ability to read. It must be interesting to read. So there are readability studies. Okay. Readability studies study the sentence length, usage of words. Okay. So more the readability, readers will read it completely. Okay. So readability studies are there. So usage, okay. And circulation studies. So how newspaper circulations are increasing, decreasing, why a particular, what are the factors which influence circulation rise? Okay. So is it income or political situation or age groups? Okay. So circulation trends, which newspaper is having a rise in circulation? What are the reasons? Okay. Circulation studies. So management studies. So management, for example, why a newspaper may lose several journalists. So job satisfaction. It is not just management. As an academician, you are also interested in finding out whether journalists are satisfied or not. What gives them satisfaction? Okay. So employee job satisfaction, competition. Okay. As I told you earlier, is there any relationship between ownership background and newspaper content? There are studies to find out if there is any relationship between going to public, raising money from share market and newspaper content. Newspaper content means what kind of news are published. Okay. So there are two kinds of news. Basically, one is public issue. Other is entertainment oriented, something like that, right? So if newspapers or media houses raise money from the market, they are more interested in profits, because every day newspaper performance is also measured based on its share price. Okay. So what its owners, shareholders want? They want their share price to be more. For that, newspapers to get more profits. For that, they have to get either cut their expenditure or increase their revenue. Okay. So this is what is called market-driven journalism. Okay. So earlier, that not earlier means about, it may be about during 70s and 80s. So newspapers were driven by editors, readers' interest. Now newspapers are driven by market needs. Okay. So if newspapers have to get more revenue, they have to get more advertisements. So to get more advertisements, they have to publish news which are entertaining. Okay. And to get more profit, what they are trying to reduce cost of news gathering. So this is one of the reasons for the lack of investigative news these days. Investigative journalism costs money, because a journalist may have to spend months or years to get one news item, investigative journalism. So it costs money. It also makes more enemies. Maybe, for example, if you want to write an investigative story about a particular industry group, so what happens? That industry group may not give you advertisements. If you write investigative story against a hospital, they may not give you advertisements. If you write an investigative story against Chaitanya or Narayana schools, they may not give you advertisements. Okay. So this is the relationship between ownership and news content. So diversity, what we call news diversity. So whether news relating to all sections are coming or not coming, what is the reason? So whether the individual journalist has any impact on news content, who are the journalists, what is their social background, what is their educational background, whether they are from rural or urban. Okay. So then there are typographic and makeup. So what kind of makeup they are interested? Photos, whether they are interested in more photos, less photos. Okay. So reader preferences, whether they like it or not. So internet editions, whether they are reading or not. Okay. So then you can also do a research related to advertising and public relations. So in advertising, what we call copy testing, whether what is advertisement copy? What are the elements of advertisement copy? Okay. So whether they are understanding or not, the translation, for example, from English to Telugu, they may translate it, whether they have understood it. Okay. So advertisement exposure, recall, what we call, whether they have seen the advertisement, whether they are able to recall it. Okay. So campaign. So they have launched an advertisement campaign. What is the impact of advertisement campaign? So if there is no impact, what is the reason? Okay. So public relations, I think you will understand the importance of public relations. In every stage, there will be a research in public relations, even including advertisement also, right? So, advertisement, before writing a copy, they have to know the consumer, target consumer. So how do they manufacture a product after? Okay. So public relations campaigns, the structure of public relations organizations in departments, how they function. So if you go through some of the topic given to you in your guidelines, you will have an idea. So there's, as I said, there's social media now, why, how they are using social media, how different occupations are using social media. Is there any relationship between use of social media and success in that particular occupation? Okay. So as I said, several other theories are there. So you can also apply theories. So I think it is 2:30 now. We will continue tomorrow. Okay. Right? Hello? I think somebody must be waiting. Okay. So we will meet tomorrow, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. So you go through those guidelines and you think about your topic, because you have to finalize your topic within 10-15 days, right?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So tomorrow you come with some ideas, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.